history of our city. Starting Friday, about 133,000 vaccinated appointments for people aged 80 and over will be available at the city's City of Toronto's first three big clinics. They're going to be at the Metro Toronto Convention Centre, the Toronto Congress Centre, and the Scarborough Town Centre. People who are allowed to start signing up on Friday, online only, no call center. This has to be online. You have to book together the dates and the times for the first and second doses of vaccine. Now, if you don't want or can't vaccine right now, starting on the 17th with the City of Toronto sites, you'll still be eligible to book later on, even when other age groups are allowed in. Once you're eligible to get the shot, you stay eligible. Top doctor, Dr. Riley DeMello, pushing for everyone to get their shots as soon as possible.
And then we can all get back to the kinds of lives that we would like to return to, or at least life a little bit more like it was.
Check out 680news.com for the City of Toronto website where you can book those appointments. Reporting live, I'm Mark Douglas.
This is 680 News. Are you still putting off renewing your driver's license validation sticker? 680's Phil Martino joins us live with some news you can use.
So, Jenna, things have not changed since March of last year.
Oh, then fuck all, you made it sound like...
Products that have expired on or after March 1st, 2020 have an extended expiry date until further notice. This includes your license plate sticker, driver's license card, Ontario photo card, and accessible parking permit.
Ontario photo card? Those fucking things expire? Are you serious? You gotta trade in your driver's license to get one of those.
This is All News Radio, 680 News. Tomorrow will mark the one-year anniversary of the declaration of a global pandemic. 680's Mom Karachi says the city has some special events planned to observe the occasion. Each event's live moment.
No, they don't.
Sorry, James.
But you have to give the address to people anyway when you use your health card. So you can't use it as ID to prove where you live.
About the fact that tomorrow marks the one-year anniversary since the WHO declared the global pandemic. They wanted to take some time to show some appreciation for the people who have kept the city going over the last 12 months.
Oh,
our definition of a frontline worker has been changed.
Hey,
I looked it up. I don't have the definition in front of me, but it talks about certain persons playing the most important role in a given action. You know, I think, and we thought of that always as being healthcare workers and doctors and nurses. And this is not to diminish what they do at all, but we've added a lot of groups to that list of people who we realize are more essential than perhaps we thought.
Now, one of the things that was supposed to be discussed during City Council today was Councilor
make sure they never get them again.
Thanks, 24/7 vaccination clinics, but she has since withdrawn that motion.
I can withdraw that now because it has been brought to my attention that based on supply, those plans are well underway.
I think the birds eat them, but
so the city looks like is angling towards maybe making something like that happen once it happens. Vaccine.
It looked like they were grabbing them out of one of the bushes.
24/7 for vaccinations. Reporting live, I'm Momin Qureshi.
I'm sure if they get hungry enough, they'll eat some.
Facing questions about Mark Saunders being named special advisor on the redevelopment of Ontario Place.
The Ford government announced last week that former Toronto Police Chief Mark Saunders has been appointed as a special advisor to Ontario Place in the redevelopment. He'll be paid $171,000 annually by the taxpayers. Minister of Tourism Lisa McLeod today asked exactly what Saunders will be doing.
He has been selected for two very important reasons. One is his ability to navigate City Hall as a former police chief. He has incredible organizational skills. The second thing, and this is really important to me, and I've been saying this for over a year and a half, this ministry, this province, we are the world in one province, and this ministry must contribute to an economic and social bottom line. And that social bottom line includes people of diversity.
As for the redevelopment of Ontario Place, the minister says an announcement on that will be made in April. I'm Richard Southern.
People
This portion of the news is brought to you by New Life Fertility Center. 4 subway stations on Line 1, Young University Line, will be off limits for more than a week.
Stare off. We're like, you know what else they said today that they haven't repeated?
Capitalizing on reduced ridership during the pandemic.
Asbestos. Hashtag asbestos. Timestamp that
will
shit.
start at 6 o'clock on Monday morning. There won't be any service between St. George and St. Andrew stations. That means Museum, Queen's Park, St. Patrick, and Osgood will all be shut down. So what are they doing? Tunnel lining repairs, removing asbestos from the tunnels, cleaning the stations, and some electrical work. Last December, the TTC had a similar closure that it says allowed it to finish 2 years' worth of work in just 10 days. Regular service will resume March 25th.
What?
I'm Charlene Close.
L-Track Gas next.
Life
during COVID-19.
News you need to know.
And what happens next. You'll always hear the latest on 680 News.
New Life Fertility.
Doesn't that sound
is
wrong?
Open in Toronto.
2 years worth of work in 10 days.
Their IVF package for only $8,800. This unheard of low cost includes
No,
full
she
IVF
must have. You
cycle,
think that's what they
pressure
told her to
frozen
say?
transfer, ICSI, and 1 year storage. No
Like the
other
TTC
fees.
told them to
New
tell
Life is also offering IUI for just $350.
10 weeks or
Limited
10 months
packages
or
available, so
10
register
days.
now at
That don't
newlifefertility.com.
sound right.
Available at all 8 locations, but only until May 15th.
Like, unless there was
New Life
other
Fertility,
information
where
that went
hope
along with that,
begins.
like some of the work that had been scheduled for
Now,
2
680
years
News
from
gas
now.
price update, and Pro predicts the price will do the following. It will not change at midnight.
At $1
It's
what?
madness this month at Knob Bodia's Hyundai. Madness?
How much? All of it. What do you mean? Oh, you got money, right? Yeah, well, give me all of it.
Lease rates from 0.9% OAC. Don't pay for 90 days on all models and the Ascent.
Change. Change. You're more likely to see change in Soviet Russia, motherfucker. Get out of here. Social change. You want change? Ooh, how many locomotives you got there? What are you hauling? What you got? What you got on your train? Ah, damn it. Oil tankers. Ain't that a beautiful sight? You know why they paint them black? So you don't see the fact that there's oil all over the motherfuckers.
If you're not creating fresh, unique content on your website, you could be missing out on a lot of potential customers.
Good.
That's where Numero Uno Web Solutions can help.
I'd sooner
Our
replay your
professional
content and talk
writers
shit
create
over
online
it.
content that moves your company to the top of the list. A 4.9 out of 5
I
star
got my
Google
McDonald's
rating
coupon
speaks for
booklet.
itself. Find out more at numerounoweb.com.
Oh, line up to $75 in savings. You know what I want to see?
Traffic and weather together.
How much you have to spend to get savings. We should add that
Friday
up. Right
Harbor and the westbound 401, MTO letting us know
Probably
about a collision on the express ramp to the 404 DVP. So
Make
that's
this shit
blocking
scratch
the
and
road,
sniff. You
things
get for
backing
it.
up
Oh, I
on
ripped
this
it.
ramp. And you'll
Oh,
also find this issue clear on
How
the
much
westbound 401 approaching Young.
They don't
and the
have good ones
Express.
anymore.
That's good news.
We used to have 2 for 1 Big
From the
Macs.
404, alternately express and
You
collectors.
charge me $6. You
Heavier
better
in the
get 2.
express for
Oh,
a
why
bit
is this
until
so
about
good?
Leslie, then heavier in the collectors from Bayview. Again, not much fun heading through that stretch.
$6.49 meal deal. All I see is a burger, fries, and a Coke.
In pretty good shape eastbound. Those
But my
from
question
Winston
is,
Churchill to east
what
of
did it
Mississauga
cost
Road,
before the
and from just
coupon?
east of the 427 to the 400, that's mainly in the express. Things also slow from about the Allen in the express and Young in the collectors towards Leslie. So getting a lot busier on the drive right now. Northbound DVP very slow from north of the Gardner to north of Lawrence. Westbound Gardner busy from the DVP to west of
2
Strawn.
McMuffin sandwiches for $5. Hold on, your pricing scale is weird. If you make this complicated, buy any Happy Meal for $3.49. I don't see food there.
Friday Harbor, come for the day or a lifetime.
I see a sliced up apple. 1, 2, 3.
Natasha Ramsey High.
That looks like 4.5 chicken nuggets. Would you rip one in half? I only see the one half.
Mainly cloudy.
And a yogurt stick looking thing.
Showers, but it's really
What's
through
the yogurt?
afternoon, late afternoon.
What is this shit? What is, you're not going to see it well enough. What the fuck is that yogurt stick?
60 to 80 kilometers per hour. We'll get a round of rain
What?
with a cold front
Did
coming
you
through.
say 86?
18 degrees, but once that front comes through by Friday morning, we're back to 0 degrees to start. Friday's going to be partly cloudy, and again,
You just
through the
made my
afternoon,
sickle
another
cell
cold
say,
front coming
hold on
through,
a second,
means
that's
gusty winds,
strange.
isolated showers. We'll have 11 degrees in the morning, but by Saturday morning, we're back to wind chills of minus 12. Overnight tonight, down to a low of 10 degrees. It is currently 12 degrees at Pearson.
Now the Dynamic Funds Market Minute. Hi, Richie.
Hey, James, who needs Canada's Wonderland when you got GameStop? Roller coaster of a ride for this speculative name. GME shares surged again at the open, but then suffered a flash crash around the noon hour. Traded down to $172, clawed its way back. Right now, we got GameStop at $250. We're going to see where this finishes. The TSX is up 119 points. It's set to finish at a fresh record high. It trades at 18,718. The Dow right now up 500 points. The S&P's up 32, and the Nasdaq's up 40. Canadian dollars 79.15 cents US. The headlines, sports and more next on 680 News.
Being active is better than being reactive. Dynamic Funds doesn't just take what the market gives. Ask a financial advisor about active management and learn more.
About plutonium, uranium, and deuterium. They released 60,000 liters and 70,000 liters of deuterium into the lake, and they go, oh, that's just a normal discharge. Really? Thanks. And guess what? There's one to each side of the city. So it doesn't really matter which way the water's flowing. It would tend to flow out towards the ocean, but it could rotate or whatever. It doesn't matter. That's where our drinking water comes from.
The acclaimed True Crime podcast from CBC, available now on CBC Listen
or some of the criteria by which you'll be evaluated.
He said reactive.
Be in the first tranche or get prioritized is whether you've got pre-existing conditions, and it's effectively going to be on your say-so, or maybe you get a doctor's note. But this does lead to a different set of. There's a hierarchical aspect to all of this, or tiers, if you will. So I'm gonna ask, as a first order of business, I want to open the lines and inquire if vaccinated people should be allowed to socialize indoors without masks if they can prove that they've been vaccinated. France today is starting to implement a vaccine passport. We've talked about that in the past, whether or not, and mostly it would be applicable for travel. Because you want to know, for example, if you want to travel to France and they're making these things mandatory or a requirement of being considered street legal and good to go, you would want to have such, wouldn't you? So these are the kinds of things that are now starting to play out. We've got to consider them seriously because we're on the precipice of seeing vaccinations in a significant critical mass. And so, do you believe that to be the case? Because there are also some health experts who don't think this is fair. And in terms of, well, it's a Canadianism, isn't it? A truism that we're all in this together. And out of fairness, how can we possibly cross that threshold and go indoors with a group of 10 like-minded or vaccinated people without masks and all the rest and enjoying ourselves with a sense of normalcy if you can't do it? It's like, you got your nose pressed against the glass and the rich kids or the kids of privilege are doing something fun inside.
Wow, is that
and you're just looking longingly from the outside. Really? That's going to be the kind of syndrome or scenario that's going to be effected here. So then the question becomes, and look, some other health people are saying that this is going to incentivize others to get vaccinated when they recognize that, in fact, there's incentive. And, it's a carrot and stick scenario. You would want to be on the inside, part of the inner sanctum, and enjoying all the other privileges that come with vaccination. It might just induce you to get vaccinated, as opposed to, say, taking the wait-and-see approach. And that's the other problem. That's the flip side of that coin. Some people, they're going to feel that they're being pressured or under duress taking this vaccine. Otherwise, they'll be excluded. You'd be like the leper in a corner with a bell around your neck, and nobody's want to get near you. And so this raises the whole specter of vaccine emancipation. Again, I asked the question. I wanted to open the lines as our first order of business. Got a great show. It's a great day for talk radio. And on that note, should you be allowed these privileges? Again, socializing, no social distancing required, no masks required. If you are fully vaccinated or partially vaccinated, and does this create?
Canada's leading labor and employment law firm is now Levitt, Sheikh, Chaudhry and Swan. Shopping in an actual store again? Good news.
Québec, mais c'est tout un podcast qui parle de Dakar, de Julie Masse. C'était une des plus grandes stars du Québec. Tout à coup, comme ça, elle est partie. Elle a décidé d'être femme. Elle a voulu être beaucoup plus domestique, mener une vie moins discrète, beaucoup plus discrète. Donc, j'ai trouvé le podcast super fascinant. Demain, en réunion autour de table avec l'équipe, je vous donnerai le titre du podcast. Mais voilà, donc j'ai pensé à Julie Masse, à ce podcast que j'ai écouté ce week-end. Donc voilà, la chanson de Julie Masse, c'est zéro. On l'écoute.
Shares those concerns.
Something, like a big gamble, like playing with fire.
Dr. Fritz believes there are risks the delays could cause more variants of the virus, creating the need for boosters and putting the vulnerable at risk once more. The letter has been sent to the Public Health Agency of Canada and the governments of Ontario, BC, and Alberta. The National Advisory Committee on Immunization says the gap between doses is acceptable in situations where vaccine supplies are limited, and federal officials note 4 months is a maximum wait time, not a requirement. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
Well, Justin Bieber is one of the biggest Leaf fans around. Today he released a video to prove it.
They mentioned some sort of song, so I'm assuming they're gonna play it for 40 or 50 fucking seconds. They mentioned some sort of song, so I'm assuming they're gonna play it.
Your desire to renovate is strong. Time to visit Monaghan Lumber. Design interesting interiors using hardwood and vinyl planks.
Water's horrible. Hey, you know what I got?
With shiplap and V-joint walls.
Compared to 99.99% of the population of the earth, I'm luxuriously wealthy right now. I got 3 muffins. That's 3 people's food for the day, right? You know, there's places I could start a gang with this bag of muffins. Hey, come with me. I'll give you more of these later. Come on.
I think I've just about counted everything. Enjoy tons of on-demand movies and shows. Switch to the second.
So the baked goods Godfather or the muffin mafia? I don't know why that button's up. You would think the up and down button, the left and right button on the tuning would both wear out evenly, but no.
And tens of thousands.
So if I had stored the presets in reverse order, like some kind of weirdo, I would be fine right now, but I didn't. Every time I scroll through in reverse, it fucks up.
So do something now.
It fucks up the AM FM setting.
If your bathroom is over 10 years old, call AGM Renovations now for a free water damage and mold assessment. AGM are Canada's highest rated renovators, and if you act fast,
who's got the biggest drop in mold, or who's got the rarest strain of the toxic
protect
shit?
your home and your health. Don't wait. For your free assessment, go to agmrenovations.com.
agmrenovations.com. 680 News Sign 321.
Traffic weather together is that quote.
It's 3 to 1 o'clock.
Gloucester on Young,
Oh, I wasn't
401
supposed to
is
go
slow
straight
from
up like
Winston
that.
Churchill to east to Mississauga Road, 427 to the 400 Expressway and Collectors, and from Allen Express Young Collectors to Leslie, also seeing a throwdown.
I've gone through my checklist. I'm pretty sure this is just sleeping wrong.
Problems on the express ramp to the 404 DVP. It's a crash in the right lane, and after that, it's
not
busy
crippling
from the
enough that I can
404 to
bitch
west
about
of
it,
Young
though.
Express and Collectors.
If somebody
west of
asks me what I'm
Ontario
doing, like, why are you
Express
even
meets
stretching me back
Collectors
for like 20 minutes? Yeah, I just slept wrong. Oh, shut up.
404 getting heavier from south of Finch down to the 401 ramps. The West Gardiner QEW slow from the DVP to west of Strawn. Ford Drive to Trafalgar and 3rd to west of Guelph Line. Also looking at delays on the northbound Don Valley Parkway from just north of the Gardiner up to north of Lawrence. Located in a prime downtown location along Yonge Street with direct access to the subway. The Gloucester on Yonge is
Jonathan cleaned up, then he heard a noise. Or a sound.
With the forecast, Natasha Ransom.
All right, so
Everything I needed to know about Toronto, I learned from Robert Monk.
Next 2 days, 10 degrees overnight tonight, mainly cloudy. Tomorrow's 18 degrees, but it's not going to feel like 18 because we've got the wind in place. We've got a few isolated showers in the morning, and then anytime after.
What's the wind chill? 18 degrees, and then what? There's going to be wind chill? Are you on fucking drugs?
Thunderstorm tomorrow afternoon. The winds will be gusting 60 to 80 kilometers per hour, and again, this is all happening late in the day as this cold front comes through. Friday up to 11 degrees and partly cloudy. We do have to watch for some afternoon showers, especially for the east end of the city, and it's going to get windy again Friday night. This is the second of 2 cold fronts, which, as I mentioned yesterday, is more potent, and that means it's colder as it comes through. Saturday morning's wind chill -12, the afternoon partly cloudy and 4 degrees. Tonight we're down to a mild low of 10 degrees. It's 12 degrees now at Pearson.
Coming up at the bottom of the hour, some good news on the vaccine front. AstraZeneca will be available to 325 pharmacies for people ages 60 to 64.
How many pharmacies are there in Toronto? No, but we don't know.
And Toronto residents
I never thought about that.
able to book their vaccination appointment at one of the city-run mass immunization clinics as of Friday. News you can use straight ahead.
There's carrots, and I believe
It
nutmeg.
takes more than a fresh coat of paint. When you're selling your house, you need to stage it just right. Store your valuables with Access Storage and showcase all the beautiful spaces in your home. Whether you're downsizing, upsizing, or moving into your dream home, Access Storage has short-term or long-term storage solutions ready for you. They're flexible, so you can be too. Whatever transition
transformation you're going through, Access Storage has over 100 stores conveniently located near you. Shop Canadian.
Oh, that
Store
word
Canadian.
means things
Try
around
4
here.
weeks free at accessstorage.ca.
Darren and Mo's Pay Your Bills contest on 98.1 CHFI has been extended.
Some crackhead getting evicted from their apartment's going to go to Mexico and Thailand for 6 months and come
You got a
back.
credit card bill for $1,578.
Your bill is paid.
Thank you so much. 3 daily chances to win.
Enter your bill at chfi.com and get ready to mark it paid in full.
Darren and Mo's Pay Your Bills contest. Weekdays at 8, 1, and 4 on 98.1 CHFI.
Why would you do 8, 12, and 4? What? Was that a ringtone or something? Turn your phone off, bro. We're recording. I don't want to get a copyright strike. Damn it, shit like that could fuck my day up. Don't do that.
Popular in song.
Good for him. And I don't like it or dislike it. Guess what? I've never heard it except for that 2 bars right there. 2, 3, maybe 4 bars right there. It's the same 2 bars over and over.
Appliances, car audio, laptops, and more.
I guess it's 4 bars.
And they're saying that this could be, that particular gate opening for them.
It sounds like you should be racing a car down some highway in California.
Do you see that as being discriminatory against you if you'd be excluded from entering, say, certain establishments?
Who would you have?
Not being able
almost
to go
said David
business without a mask and close by with friends. Would you feel that that's somehow a hardship imposed upon you unfairly?
With the rag top down so my hair could blow.
It's saying, you're saying like this isn't a mandatory to take.
2 miles an hour, so
you're not allowed to do this, and this.
Well, yeah, that's conceptually the point. And so if anybody were to call you out and say, your papers, please, let's see that you've been vaccinated, or you've got to prove it, which is basically, I guess, I don't understand how else this system would work, but if you were told you'd have to prove it and you couldn't, that may lead to a fine because you've broken the quarantine rules. So they would sort of compartmentalize some of the rules under the Quarantine Act. Listen, Craig, I appreciate it. I get your point that you would want to wait or not want to get vaccinated, and that's your prerogative. You see, that's where this is coming in contact with personal choice. There are rewards for some people subscribing to the prevailing medical wisdom. Not everybody subscribes to it. So is that unjust, unfair to maybe exclude you or penalize you? Just wondering how that might be tested constitutionally, but we'll leave that for another time. Right now, just saying, should special allowances be afforded those who do get vaccinated? And health authorities, many of whom have weighed in, say, yes, that's the way it ought to work. Let me get to Chris. In beautiful, sunny Mississauga.
I'll let you go first.
Chris, go ahead. You're on the
Hi, John. It's a great day for vaccine radio.
Well,
hey, that doesn't count, cocksucker. That just barely counts because he's mentioning the subject of the day.
Back up 19. And the TSX.
That should be illegal.
Record high territory. It's up 127 points to 18,727. Greg Taylor, Chief Investment Officer of Purpose Investments, is here. Greg, the broader market's looking better.
Now we're starting to see some stabilization in the bond market. The bond auction today went well. The Bank of Canada was out. There was no real news there. And that's got bond yields to start to calm down back to the 1.5 level. And a calm bond market makes it easier to put on speculative activity in equities. And that's why we're seeing the stock market bounce back led by the tech stocks.
Interesting story here. What's been a real hot seller over the pandemic? Lego Corporation today.
Yeah, we know because the other station is running special
revenue by 13% year on year in the latest quarter to $7 billion, with consumer sales of 21%. Lego says this is the biggest quarter in its history. Consumer sales grew in all markets, but particularly strong in China and here in North America. And Lego says it was people of all ages buying its toy blocks. The adult Lego Star Wars sets proving very popular, according to the company. Now, the price of gold right now higher, $1,723 the ounce. Recapping, TSX up 121. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up 500
somebody standing on a balcony of a condo.
$256. Canadian dollar 79.
Especially if they got some type of cell phone in their hand. All I can think is that's got to be some type of drug dealer or criminal. It's got to be some sort of foreign criminal evading arrest from Interpol. You read the newspapers here about real estate, that's like here.
It's
all organized crime.
Oui, mais aussitôt que Verizon est arrivé dans le portrait, que AOL a comme disparu, qu'ils ont fusionné AOL avec Yahoo un an plus tard, on a senti que Yahoo était beaucoup plus important. On a senti que HuffPost était le petit frère qui dérangeait à l'intérieur du groupe. HuffPost qui était quand même résolument à gauche. Verizon, une compagnie cotée en bourse qui veut faire des profits, qui fait des milliards de profits, qui profite également des crédits d'impôt du gouvernement Trump il y a 2 ou 3 ans, je crois. Donc, on sentait vraiment que les jours étaient comptés, que HuffPost ne fitait pas vraiment dans la stratégie internationale du groupe Verizon, qui focalisait beaucoup sur la téléphonie 5G aux États-Unis, au Royaume-Uni, sur la câblo-distribution et la diffusion en continu, ce qu'on appelle le streaming en anglais. Donc, c'était pas des entreprises incompatibles, mais on sentait que c'était le petit frère qui dérangeait, qui n'a jamais fait ses frais parce qu'il y avait trop d'éditions éparpillées un peu partout dans le monde. Il y avait des co-entreprises dans plein de pays, comme HuffPost en France, qui est propriété entre Verizon. En Espagne, c'était un autre arrangement. Au Canada, Verizon était propriétaire à 100%, donc il y avait plus de facilité, mais le fait qu'un média canadien, en fait, et HuffPost qui était contrôlé de New York au plan de la vision, le manque d'investissement aussi, et les licenciements successifs qui se sont succédés depuis 2005, la direction canadienne de AOL qui a été décimée au cours des dernières années, des gens qui étaient là depuis 15, 20,
Rachel Motley is live now. No, she's
mon
not.
tour est arrivé il y a 2 ans et demi, et puis il y a plein d'autres gens qui ont été licenciés dans les 2 dernières années et demie. Donc, les jours étaient comptés, c'était écrit dans le ciel, et ça montre à quel point c'est pas facile de lancer des médias au Canada, que ce soit en 2010 ou en 2020, que même si c'est un bon modèle d'affaires, 80% des revenus en ligne sont gobés par Google, Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft. Donc, les géants du web ont vraiment réussi à accaparer des budgets publicitaires qui étaient très, très élevés chez AOL ou HuffPost au début des années 2010, 2012, 2015.
Monsieur White, j'apprécie beaucoup que vous ayez pris le temps de nous parler aujourd'hui.
Bonne journée, à la prochaine.
Book here, La Mafia Medicale. And underneath it, I got Learn German the Fast and Fun Way.
Fondateur aussi de HuffPost Québec en 2011. Je rappelle donc qu'on a appris qu'hier allait être la dernière journée de publication de HuffPost Canada, HuffPost Québec. Plusieurs licenciements qui se sont fait sentir ici au Canada, mais aussi partout à travers le monde.
No, there's a reason I don't know German.
À Toronto,
I'm curious about. No, I'm half no Dutch. I got the excuse. The rest of you don't got that excuse. You gotta pretend to be interested in German, and then why you never brought it in? I gotta read it.
L'excellence d'une chercheure francophone de Toronto. Il s'agit de Mélanie Girard. Elle est doctorante en immunologie à l'Université de Toronto. Elle travaille au laboratoire Tanya Watts. C'est un laboratoire dont certaines des recherches en fait portent en ce moment sur la COVID-19. Et donc, ma collègue Marjorie a pris ce matin. Elle m'a demandé de parler un peu de son domaine d'expertise.
Je travaille au laboratoire de Tanya Watts à l'Université de Toronto. Puis dans notre laboratoire, on est vraiment spécialisé.
Frames and lenses starting at $199 for fashionable and affordable eyewear. Visit Hakeem Optical today. With the forecast, here's Natasha.
Tell us about the soldier and
temperatures staying mild tonight down to 10 degrees. There's going to be a lot more cloud tomorrow. 18 degrees on the way, but also a lot more wind.
We should care about this guy because this is a weird situation.
To come through with wind gusts of 60 to 80 kilometers per hour, so make sure your blue bins, green bins are all secure. We also have rain coming through tomorrow evening with the passage of that cold front.
There was a guy who worked for the Children's Aid for years and years. He crashed through the front gate of the front doors of the place.
That's the 60 News.
Pharmacies across the province are going to start giving some adults COVID-19 vaccines as the Ford government uses its pilot program to roll out as many AstraZeneca shots as possible before April.
6 hotels starting Friday. Those between the ages of 60 and 64 can sign up for a shot.
Sense now.
Most of the almost 200,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine will go to more than 325 pharmacies in 3 areas: Toronto, Windsor, and Kingston. Some have already started giving the shots. Premier Ford says 6 areas in the province will have another option.
In addition, primary care professionals will be offering vaccinations in primary care settings and community locations such as physician offices beginning this weekend.
How do I get ingrown hairs to be declared a medical issue? There's got to be a specialist.
That initiative will start in Toronto, Peel Region, Hamilton, Guelph, Peterborough, and Simcoe, Muskoka. Both initiatives will be expanded as Ontario gets more supply. Today was a major vaccine milestone as Ontario reached 1 million shots given so far. I'm Irene Precklett. This is 6 City News. Also starting Friday, the City of Toronto is launching online booking for its mass vaccination clinics. 6 City's Mark Douglas joins us live with those details.
So, Jim, if you live in Toronto and were born in 1941 or earlier, mark your calendar for this Friday. That's when about 133,000 appointments for your COVID-19 vaccination will become available. Mayor John Tory says getting the vaccine will save lives and will lead to the greatest economic recovery Toronto has ever seen.
We won't stop, nor will our hospital and healthcare partners won't stop until everyone who wants their shot has received their shot.
The appointments coming available will be for the City of Toronto's first
when
3
nightclubs open up
vaccination sites.
Everybody who wants their 2 shots is going to get their 2 shots.
Downtown. They open
it takes us all 4 months
and the first group up to book their appointments starting at 12 will be
sometimes we speak too moistly.
Years of age and older. Dr. Eileen Davila
You're going to rip people up. You're done. You're out. Go home.
Because she says we are
stay
so
home.
close
We need to sample
getting
all
back
of
to what matters.
Things like personal connections, such as a warm embrace from a loved one, or a meal with family and friends.
Again, starting Friday, online booking for Toronto vaccination sites for anyone 80 years of age or older.
My friends are not bad people.
Resident.
Some people like me for some reason. I used to know a person a long time. The person's taller than me, so I think
just look for the big prominent button to click. Reporting live, I'm Mark Douglas.
This is 680 News. You can still drive around with expired license plate stickers as provinces extension for renewals continues. If you're one of those, you might want to listen to this. 680's Phil Martino joins us live with news you can use.
James, even in to limit in-person interactions at Service Ontario locations, the provincial government extended the validity of things like driver's license and other government-issued permits and products as of March 1st of last year, and that extension continues. According to the Service Ontario website, the list of licenses and products covered by the extension includes license plate stickers, driver's licenses.
Okay, but what if your shit's out of jurisdiction and it was valid when you got here, but it's from well before that date, and you were going to switch it over? No, there's people, once you're here 180 some days, 6 months, whatever, what the law says is you have to switch your vehicle and license, driver's license registrations over to the province.
Completely necessary. Florentino.
And it's basically supposed to be as simple if you're in the, as far as I know, every U.S. state
of the WHO declaring COVID-19 a pandemic. 6 City's Moment Crushy joins us with that moment.
You have a valid license. Well, what if your shit's expired from before that date, from another, or even after?
Taking about 20 minutes to talk about the fact that tomorrow.
What's the cop supposed to do? Arrest you and take your fucking vehicle off the road?
The WHO declared a global pandemic. He says it's been a tough go for the city, taking time to honor those frontline workers, people who work in the healthcare industry, city staff.
I see so many vehicles with one headlight and no front license plate. Ontario, but no front license plate.
They say, well, give me one word.
Or it's in the window. I know what happened. The car came from a different jurisdiction. It doesn't have the mounting bracket or some shit.
You know, because in the end, whether it's partnership with community,
you never let that slide here. But there are other places they wouldn't give a fuck.
Working together, it's been extraordinary.
18 jurisdictions or something where you don't need front plates.
2,700 people have died in Toronto since the start of the pandemic. The Yorkville City Council still meeting at the moment. Reporting live, I'm Moment Qureshi.
Some cops will be dicks. You can see the plate. It's supposed to be
over a protected wetland at Pickering was a hot topic.
The issue is the windshield's like this, the dash is like this.
Before government has used a ministerial zoning order or MZO.
Never mind the risk you're taking leaving it on the dash and you hit some.
Wetland and to build a gigantic warehouse in order to attract Amazon.com. The NDP's Taras Natashak asking the Premier about it.
Why is this Premier so ready to do anything he can to build a warehouse.
How are you going to drive the pilings on wetlands? I don't think you can do
I have
that.
to laugh when I hear him speak, because I don't even know who the heck the developer is, to be very frank with you. But the developer, whoever this person is, actually donated to Stephen Del Duca riding. Just saying that, Mr. Speaker, let's be very clear. This is about creating jobs. It's not about donations. Maybe they can be bought.
The Speaker of the House.
With an eye on question period, I'm Richard Southern.
This is 680 News. And the U.S.
Sort of a
Congress
method in
has
the
sent President Joe Biden a landmark $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief bill. Most noticeable to many Americans are provisions to provide up to $1,400 in direct payments this year to most adults and extend $300 per week of emergency unemployment benefits into early September. Included is hundreds of billions of dollars for COVID-19 vaccines and treatments, schools, state and local governments, as well as ailing industries from everything from airlines to concert halls.
Everything.
Gas prices are next.
To go up.
Square knows that running a business can mean a lot of things. It means running with unknowns, split-second decisions, and plans you make up as you go. So Square has tools to help run your business wherever tomorrow takes you. Launch an online store in minutes. Set up pickup and delivery, and bill for work with easy invoicing. You can.
Who's the other?
Comes first. If the vaccine works and you want to take it, you should go ahead and take it. You're protected, and you should assume that once infection rates go down, it isn't widespread. So why are we worried about every single person being vaccinated? I mean, we're going to vaccinate children too.
No, well, no. Although I guess Pfizer's working on a vaccine for kids, but still, that's getting a little too far ahead of ourselves. We're just talking in sort of the immediate future now. In the next 2 months or so, this is going to become, I believe, an issue, and we'll have to confront it. And those who have not yet been vaccinated or chose not to take the vaccine may find themselves on the outside. You're saying it could lead to a charter challenge. I wouldn't disagree with that. It may very well do that.
What I hit was being technically styrofoam.
Charter challenges that you can't be forced to quarantine in a government hotel where you got to pay the freight. So these are the things that are still part in play, and the government here in Canada, unlike the States, they're not making any commitments to whether or not
the government here in Canada, not the government of Canada, the government here in Canada. So all of us is just temporary.
Just wanted to set the table, Michael and Aurora. Thanks for your weighing in. Let me get to Karen here in Toronto, next on the Oprah Show. Hi, Karen.
Hi. How are you? Great day for talk radio.
All right. You said the shibboleth. You're in good standing now.
So this is total discrimination. I was offered the vaccine last month, refused to take it. I will not be part of this experiment. I have a dad.
Can I ask? Let me just hang on. Let me just ask. Based upon what sort of criteria of evaluation were you offered the vaccine last month?
Because I have a 95-year-old father in long-term.
Okay. You're the principal caregiver then. Okay, got it. No, I appreciate it. Just wanted to know.
Yeah, I'm one. I refused to take it. Okay. And I didn't want my dad to take it, but they made him take it. I think I have a negative, I get tested every week. I have negative tests that I can show people. I think that should be sufficient. I will not get the vaccine. I think nothing's been proven yet about the safety or the long-term effects or anything. And I think it's total discrimination. I think it's against our Charter of Human Rights. And like one of your previous callers said, you have to get the vaccine and, you're not going to spread it. Doesn't mean you're not going to be a carrier. It just means that if you get it, you won't be as sick as you're supposed to.
Well, no, they've also, I've seen many reports mentioning that it also lowers transmission. So take that for what it's worth. I mean, I've read those reports. I'm not a medical expert, so I can't tell you firsthand, but those are reports I've read. So you're refusing, you believe it's discriminatory, similar to the last caller, though, where you think it might even invoke a charter challenge, which I respect, people saying that and their opinions, because I think, anytime there's a certain intrusion on
your
individual
body
freedoms and rights, we're really
not just something in the air or the water.
When there's a prevailing mindset out there in
you inject something into somebody,
and you've even got medical health authorities backing that.
They even come out and see that
you
don't understand the level we're on. I'm never in the position where they're trying to force me to get a vaccine.
Questioning this, like you can't just follow everything that someone's telling you without any without proof of anything.
Well, we are. We're taking at faith.
My response would be about that
face value
aerosol
what the health authorities have been preaching all
Japan.
along, haven't we?
Well, not me, and not a lot of other people that I know.
That way, I don't want it. Why?
Karen, can I ask?
You'll
Your
fucking
father
kill
was
me.
forced to take it.
No,
Was
no,
the
it's
home
safe.
in which
I
he
have
was-
sickle cell.
Why was he forced it by whom?
Well, because it's in Essex County, and they supposedly think
It
they
should
have
be
like
one of the questions they
major
ask.
transmission,
Oh, we don't ask it because
or
you're
major
not.
numbers there. So his long-term care in a year had no COVID in any of their residents, but everybody in long-term care had to get.
They
the
don't
residents
have
had to get vaccinated.
They
So
don't have
Well, what would have been the consequence if he chose not to, or you chose on his behalf? Would he have been kicked out of the place?
I don't know actually, because
Then how did
I
they
had a brother
force
that overruled me on my dad getting his
That's,
shot.
then
but
they didn't force
he
him.
hasn't
Your
been quite the
brother
same
did.
since.
Your brother
And
did.
and to be honest, I know 2 people who have died from the vaccine, and no one wants to talk about that side of the story. But 2 friends of my uncle who's elderly have died from the vaccine. So, you know,
Do we know it's the vaccine directly? I mean, okay.
well, they didn't have COVID, and they didn't have any other underlying effects.
I see.
And
All right. Karen, I appreciate it. I've got to move on. I got a lot of calls, but I appreciate your time and wish you the best in terms of care for your dad. At 95, obviously, you know, he's relying entirely on you. Let me go to Ron in Toronto here. Time for 1 or 2 more real fast ones. And we're going to talk about this major hack in Silicon Valley and really what we can anticipate. This is a biggie. Hey, Ronnie, your turn. Oprah Show. Go ahead.
Hi, John. Long-time listener since my young years and your years on Montreal radio at CKAD. But looks like the Ontario government has failed Basic Math 101. I just went to the newly announced website to book COVID-19 to book COVID-19 vaccines, and they only accept people born between 1957 and 1961. But if you think about it, someone and they're claiming that represents people aged 60 to 64. But what about someone born either, let's say, July 1956 or October 1956? They are still 64 years old, until July of this year or until October of this year, for example. If you think about it, do the math. So I don't know if there's a math error there.
I wasn't expecting the question.
Of the new math curriculum, but
yeah, well, that's an interesting take on that. I just thought it was born in that calendar year, 57 up to 61.
Yeah, but somebody born in there's a huge tranche of people born in 1956 who are still 64 years old. If you do the math, I know someone should sit down and do the math, but they're still 64 years old until mid or later this year, so they should still be eligible. But
what they should do is stipulate, Ron, that they mean calendar year, because you are correct. I mean, up until between now and that time, there is, of course, you're right, they still fall under that age group. But you raise an interesting point. I think it's getting very complicated trying to determine who exactly qualifies and when, because things have moved. See, with the AstraZeneca that's been deemed not applicable to those 65 plus, so they moved it down to 60 to 64. And then you've got other places where AstraZeneca for those 65 plus is being permitted, and there's no problem with it. And so it depends on who you're listening to. But boy, you got to go to the government websites to sort this all out and have a CIA cryptographer to disseminate what, sort of read out what the hell they mean. But I got your point, and Ronnie, I appreciate that and the kind words from way back when. Started my illustrious career. However, that was Ron. By the way, Ron James, the funny man, is going to join us after 5 o'clock. He's got a COVID concert coming up, so we're going to talk about that, see what he's going to be riffing on. In a joyless year, always a little mirth. Welcome on the Oakley Show and otherwise, so we'll get around to all of that. However, coming up next,
what of merriment?
At Checkpoint Software Technologies, that's a corporate cybersecurity provider. Hackers have breached thousands of security cameras, exposing Tesla, jails, hospitals. We'll find out the depth and breadth of this and what we need to know on a security basis in a few moments.
What'd you find,
back to the roads and a check.
What, pray tell, did you find? Oh, they're not just watching a live camera.
The express problems now clear.
Trouble-free actually on the highways right now, including on the West 416th Avenue, those moving pothole repair crews have left the area. It's still a little busy through the 407 stretch, but improving. The rest of the highways dealing with plenty of volume, including the West 401. It is busy approaching the 404 anyways, all the way through to Yonge in both express and collectors, then busy again past the Allen to the 409. Very busy through the Mississauga construction zone here, Ontario, to be on Mavis. Eastbound side also busy, approaching Winston Churchill to Mavis. Now, we did have MTO check around on the cameras to see if there's any additional problems on the eastbound side to cause all those heavy delays, but it looks like it's just the construction maybe causing a bit of a visual distraction. And also on the east 401, slowdowns 427 to the 400 with volume here, as well as from the Allen to Kennedy, and then you get a bit of a break, but then slowing again through Ajax. Leaving downtown, the West Gardner is busy from the DVP.
Non, j'imagine que ça doit être.
As he has seen no indication that the 46-year-old Huron, who's a military reservist, had renounced the conspiracy theories he believes in, or that he recognizes what he did was wrong. In July, Huron rammed his truck through the gates of Rideau Hall, armed with several shotguns, and roamed the grounds for 90 minutes looking for the Prime Minister. Huron wanted to interrupt a press conference with the Prime Minister at his home and expected to be shot dead. The judge said Huron could have received up to 10 years in prison, but quickly dismissed the defense request of 3 years in jail. The guns in this case will be destroyed. A sample of Huron's DNA will also be taken. As the sentence was being read out, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was attending question period in the House of Commons. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
This is 680 News. Another juror has been seated in the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin.
A fourth juror has been seated, the first of the day today. The juror is described by reporters in the court as a white male in his late 30s or 40s. He told the court he'd seen the video of Floyd's death 2 to 3 times and believes that the, quote, event did not need to end in his death. He also expressed very favorable views of Black Lives Matter. He says he supports law enforcement, but called Blue Lives Matter a marketing ripoff of Black Lives Matter. Mark Remillard, ABC News.
In 60 seconds, traffic and weather together on the ones. This is 680 News.
Thanks to you, my daddy got home safely from his day at work.
Thanks to you, my daughter got home safely from her girlfriend's party on the weekend.
Thanks to you, my brother and I go to and from practice every week.
Most of us do our part to keep our roads safe by driving sober. We plan ahead, designate a driver, take taxis or transit, stay over, or call home. Thank you for driving sober. A message from Arrive Alive, Drive Sober, and CAA. To find out more, visit arrivealive.org.
Did you know that companies with a blog get 55% more web traffic and 78% of web users research products online before buying? If you're not creating fresh, unique content on your website, you could be missing out on a lot of potential customers. That's where Numero Uno Web Solutions can help. Our professional Canadian writers create online content that moves your company to the top of the list. A 4.9 out of 5-star Google rating speaks for itself. Find out more at numerounoweb.com.
680 News Time, 3:51.
Traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Zach Bodenstein.
This report's brought to you by AGM Renovations. Well, it's a busy drive out there. Eastbound 401 slowdown start before Winston Churchill out to east of Mississauga Road. Then heavy from the 427 to the 400 Express and Collectors. Allen Express Young Collectors to Leslie, approaching Warden to Kennedy Collectors, and Brock Road to east of Salem. Westbound 401 looking at delays from the 404 to west of Young Express Collectors, west of the Allen, alternately Express and Collectors to Dixon, and here Ontario Express Mavis Collectors to approaching Mississauga Road. Northbound Don Valley Parkway jammed out of downtown from the Gardner up towards just past Lawrence, and then northbound 404 slow approaching the 407 to north of 16th Avenue. If you're headed south on the 404, things are busy from just south of Finch to the 401 ramps. West Gardner, West QEW delays, DVP to west of Strawn, and from the 403 all the way to west of 12 line. Eastbound QEW slow from Dorval to Ford Drive, and northbound 410's busy from Steeles to Williams Parkway. How about the money you save staying at home you spend on your home? Increase your living space, finish your basement. Call AGM now and get $5,000 off your new basement. Visit AGMRenovations.com. With the forecast, here's Natasha Ranzai.
Mild night tonight. It's going to be a little bit windy around midnight, 50 to 60 kilometers per hour, but we're only dropping to 10 degrees, which is 2 degrees cooler than what we're at now. A few isolated showers to the north in the morning. We are waiting until after about
4 p.m. or so tomorrow afternoon. That's when that cold front will approach with rain, about 4 to 8 millimeters of rainfall. More importantly, it's going to trigger off some winds at 60 to 80 kilometers per hour late in the afternoon, a high of 18 degrees, but we're going to be a little cooler for Friday. 11 degrees, partly cloudy, a couple of late day showers, windy again by Friday night, and this is the second of 2 cold fronts, and that brings us back to minus double-digit wind chills by Saturday morning. The afternoon, partly cloudy at 4. Flurries return Sunday morning. What's the sun and cloud in the afternoon and 6 degrees. Tonight down to a low of 10. It's currently 12 degrees at Pearson.
The suspect has entered the room, bends over, ties his shoelace. We don't need a live commentary. Just tell me if he makes a move. He straightens with surprising agility, rotates 45 degrees to the left. Hey, you always just lay back on stakeouts? Stakeouts for states, parent-teacher interviews. He's getting away. What? Oh.
Only certain people know what I'm talking about. I got horrible patches of hairs cutting through here and here. It'll take me an average of like 6 or 7 minutes to get every single one of them out. It will drive me crazy. I can ignore them for another week because they'll stop being irritating for about a week, and then they start to get wider as they grow. So, conducive. I want to know what the United Nations is doing, but not that bad. It's 5 minutes of this, 6 minutes, I guess.
With AJ's payday, Murphy will kill you if you kill me and burn your kids. Paranoid, give a 9 mil, make your guts spill. Lay there in a pool full of blood, you're a fraud, your life's on pause. That mine is next.
At least it's oriented landscape style. The other one you gotta turn it sideways. It's a picture of a guy.
One there when I touch my first million. Fuck your reasons, you don't listen. Be strong, my career is in God.
Vito Rizzuto was the head of the Montreal Mafia. Now, he was a man with many enemies, but Rizzuto died of natural causes.
The Mafia. A secret order dedicated to Cosa Nostra, this thing of ours. You violate what you know about this life, and you're gonna burn in hell like the saint is burning in your hands. Ruckus. Niggas wanna hate, cause I'm getting on now. They wanna shoot me down, click, click, pow, pow. Niggas wanna hate, cause I'm getting on now. They wanna shoot me down, click, click, pow, pow. Niggas wanna hate, cause I'm getting on now. Cause I'm getting on now, niggas wanna hate. Cause I'm getting on now, they wanna shoot me down, click, click, pow, pow. Had more respect for the crack, not rappers, they forget. Cause they'll blast you with a mag, and that's that. It's fucked up how niggas want my head over fame. It's a shame, cause I love their minds. Insane like G, but not quite like me. One of a kind, on my grind. Fuck yeah, I'm a hood hopper. I'm well known all over. My niggas is connected with AJ, every day's payday. Mervin will kill you if you kill me and burn your kids. Paranoid, keep a 9 mil, make your guts spill. Lay there in a pool full of blood, you're a fraud, your life's on pause. Mad, that mine is next. Only heard none yet, life dedication. Malcolm X invasion. Like Zion and Honey's the diva, first striking. The only one there when I touch my first million. Fuck your reasons, you don't listen. Be strong, my career is in God's hand, not mine. And definitely not yours. For hard to afford, dear Lord. We've been here before. Mission impossible, survive death more than 20 times. And talk crimes, you're worth a dime. B.I.G. ready to die. Thug like Park 50 before he got shot. Wait for them shots. Ain't afraid of nothing. Listen, little bitch, come get it. I can't be a conscious rapper. All my life, be a gangster, a mobster, fucking monster. Fuck you haters. Niggas wanna hate, cause I'm getting on now. Niggas wanna hate, cause I'm getting on now. Niggas wanna hate, cause I'm getting on now. You wanna shoot me down, click, click, pow, pow. Niggas wanna hate, cause I'm getting on now. They wanna shoot me down, click, click, pow, pow. Niggas wanna hate, cause I'm getting on now. They wanna shoot me down, click, click, pow, pow. Niggas wanna hate, cause I'm getting on now. They wanna shoot me down, click, click, pow, pow. Niggas wanna hate, cause I'm getting on now. They wanna shoot me down, click, click, pow, pow. Niggas wanna hate, cause I'm getting on now. Niggas wanna hate, cause I'm getting on now.
You can't shoot me down. No, click down. No. Used to guns. 10 guns before. Bobby murdered 20 guns. Yeah. You can tell who the real niggas is. Shit is real bitch ass niggas. Stop trying fucking bullshit online. Come in real life. You with it? Limitless. Try to dumb it down for these niggas and be conscious. But this is real life shit. You gotta talk about it, nigga. Yeah, Ruckus. RapTillDeathRecords.com. Malcolm X video. We'll be on Much Music. We'll be on Vivo. We'll be everywhere in the fucking world, nigga. Either you like it or not. Hate it.
Living Mi'kmaq in US of A. This week we take a summer trip to visit our Mi'kmaq relatives across the border in the state of Maine. I'm Glenn Wheeler, and this is Mi'kmaq Matters, a podcast about Mi'kmaq people, politics, land, and water.
It's close to 10 million gallons. It's like 200 of these 50,000 gallon tanks, fuel tanks. There's a pipeline that runs to the coast. There's a railroad. Well, there's a rail line, I should say.
Lifetime fever. I got a lifetime fever. Don't gotta spit up. Still feature. I got a lifetime fever. Don't gotta spit up. Still feature. 38 revolver flow. 38 revolver flow. 38 revolver flow is hard to trace. Yo, whip it real hard. In the kitchen, whipping up that brick into it real hard. Bitch, I hustle real hard. Bitch, you hustle real slow. Bitch, you hustle once a week. Bitch, I flipping Rick Rob.
It was 4 last time, now it's 3. So 3 o'clock I did 4, 4 o'clock I did 3. What the fuck was that?
Real hard. In the kitchen, whipping up that brick into it real hard. Bitch, I hustle real hard. Bitch, you hustle real slow. Bitch, you hustle once a week. Bitch, I'm flipping Rick Rob every day. Grinding hard, grinding big, you grinding small. 38 revolver blows. I'm watch me fucking kill them all. I'll be down to kill it though. Burn them with my fucking blow. Once he dead, go find his bitch. Stop flirting with his fucking hoe. Working with this fucking hoe. I'll be on my fucking shit. Roll like a revolver. Take 6 shots, you dead, ain't need a clip. I got a lifetime fever. I don't gotta spit up. Still feature. I got a lifetime fever. I don't gotta spit up. Still feature. I got a lifetime fever. I don't gotta spit up.
Gotta put a low. What you really do? I got all the snow. Come right off the boat. 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 This year you already know. I feel like I've been the GOAT. I know I can hold my own. I know I can hold my own. All I know that crime pay. I'ma get it one day. I'm cruising down the highway. All I know that crime pay. Getting money 5 ways. I'm cruising down the highway.
talking kicks like Coffee Body.
They never lived it. I've been gunning for them 7 digits. Came back with a better vision. I ain't never switching. I'ma get this chicken. Crime pays, that's my way. Try to tell them, but they never listen. Fuck the ops, fuck the cops. I'ma make a million win a Merry Christmas. I've been on this since Dipset. How they wanna get their lips wet. All these bitches used to try to swear me. Now I'm flexing on them with this Dipset. All I know that crime pays. I'ma get it one day. I'm cruising down the highway. All I know that crime pays. Get them money 5 ways. I'm cruising down the highway. I'ma get it one day. All I know that crime pays. I'ma get it one day. I'm cruising down the highway. All I know that crime pays. Get them money 5 ways. I'm cruising down the highway. I'ma get it one day. If I die before I wake, pray the Lord my soul to take. If I die before I wake, pray the Lord my soul to take. I can't sleep, these nightmares are real. Gotta keep both hands on the wheel.
Shit.
Revolutionaries. Yo, we being targeted, word up, man. We being hunted.
White cops hate seeing this face.
But we will not be the
Identifying as black. They hate seeing
right here, man. You gotta be smart when you
whatever they feel about seeing a black face, they hate seeing this one even worse, saying the things I say.
Get ready. Bulletproof. Window glass don't shatter. They wildin' out like black lives don't matter. The other day the beast try to play me. It's war zone. In the hood, they brought the Navy. Unrest, protest, stay 7. Cause they killed a strong black man like James Evans. Daytime, we trying to keep the shit peaceful. Nightfall, I'm out looting with the people. Police shooting, tear gas, rubber bullets. The end of the world, ain't no other way to put it. Pearl Harbor, looking like Okinawa. Even through the thick of it all, we smoking sour. Repeat fellas, got us in the street yelling. Fuck that, I have a trees, beast, you selling. They telling lies. World news will blitz up. Don't be a sheep and let the wolf get you. Yo, we strike back. Take one of mine, stick one of yours. Yo, we strike back. Take one of mine, stick one of yours. We strike back. Take one of mine, stick one of yours. Yo, we strike back.
Somewhere I was reading about a master plan for the city islands.
Just got a new 48 skate to bust on. I do it accordingly, disorderly, accustomed to outrage city life like Ukraine. Cops shoot my youth like Saddam Hussein. They shifty. We shut them down, kick them like cocaine. Dare them to buck back. What? My crew bangs is no game. Beast waiting to take a lane. Burglars of these murderers meet the viper when I strike. Blam on a bama. Open like I open them like with the hammer. If they crooked mean it seems I ain't got no time. Hit them up. Officer O'Connor, I'm a bomber. Lit them up, you dig? Pigs feel the karma. No drama. I've been a terror to this darkness, but due to my dark skin, I'm a moving target. We strike back. It's one for Powell, one for Martin, one for Rice, one for Bell, and another for Eric Garner. Yo, we strike back. Take one of mine, stick one of yours. Yo, we strike back. Take one of mine, stick one of yours. We strike back. Take one of mine, stick one of yours. Yo, we strike back. Strike back. Strike back. Strike back. The court system ain't got no honor. Only I can judge me. I'm in hell burning marijuana. Word to Obama, where's my change? Man, that shit ain't been abolished. The problem is, we're still enslaved. We at war with 5-0. My eyes show, you can see the pain in my soul. Demonstrate the entire state.
I had a bag lady one time coming the other way of the street.
Still get blared up.
look up. One look at me and immediately say, Jesus, what the fuck they do to you?
We ain't just shoot survivors. They don't care. You shot like a dog. These cops think they on top of the law. These ain't no lies. Why you acting all surprised? It's a million more rookie cops thinking they live. We survive. Bust shots to rotten apple. Stay on your map. This is a trap. You being shot at, yo, we strike back. Take one of mine, take one of yours, yo, we strike back. Take one of mine, take one of yours, we strike back. Take one of mine, take one of yours, yo, we strike back. Strike back, strike back, strike back, yo, we strike back. Take one of mine, take one of yours, yo, we strike back. Take one of mine, take one of yours, we strike back. Take one of mine, take one of yours, yo, we strike back. Strike back, strike back, strike back.
Yes, nigga. Word take. What up, KPT? We slim. We out here. Don't get close, nigga. We the craziest rapping shooters behind me. FOGs for white necessities in the 90s. So don't sleep, no, nigga. We are what? Won't matter who it is, bound to get the job done. We the craziest got the shooters behind me. FOGs for white necessities in the 90s. So don't sleep, nigga. We are what? Don't matter who it is, bound to get the job done. On the same running with the same clip. Never gonna change, no nigga. Only change roles and the pool, but only if it's fucking up. Put some aim and niggas above the button. Working hard in the paint, no patch of fucking up. Repack the clip, that to get our shit up. Only other hot shit is a stick up. Never a 9 to 5, cause I ain't got no day job. From the slums, little homie, where we play hard. You don't wanna see the 30-30 when it sprays off. 22 for walk around 3/8 for the beef. The 40 to lay them down, the max for the beef. Heard niggas saying about they wanna make tracks with us. Before that, didn't even crack to us. Going hard in the booth, it's a takeover. Hard and the brown into your face, that's a makeover. 25 for a Q, the rest profit. Hustlers, mine say won't sleep till I knock it. And don't push me, cause I ain't in the top yet. 12-year-old school, so I ain't scared if you got it. Y'all got it. It's just me you comparing to. I ain't finished my fair share yet, but I aired them just started. And I ain't talking about no jump shot, brush them off, go top. You know the cold hurt my chest. Didn't think I was capable. 4-5 pipe on my traceable. Didn't think I was capable. 4-5 pipe on my isn't traceable.
You niggas don't ride something like a flat tire. Ain't a fire at your back, it will be backfire. Cause my gas is the same size as a blow dryer. Never true in your raps, you some damn liar. A great job, make them spit through the wire. And you don't supply shit, you a buyer. I'm the king of gang rap, call me sire. That's hate, for privately you rate and admire. Your rubber grip tight, no pliers. I gotta take you out, call it quits or retire. The fourth room down, fifth lift them up. Bells don't leave shells, so I'm switching up. Something like a bus driver still picking up. Got your hands in your pocket, nigga, stick them out. Palmer projects, money's no objects. So we finger fuck max and we palm tax. Slide in, slide out, duck where we ride out. Down go, I duck rounds as you dumb counts. You're standing up till I tell them sit down. Stomach on the ground, hands behind your back, and you're no homo. When I'm digging in your pants, see me that in your grip. All for the racks. He said, check the weed, leave the cash. What? I'ma do him dirty, mad max. Sure, niggas get back. Bitches get flat, when I'm breaking her mushroom. Yo, we got metal like a rap, made a name in rap.
People to start indoor gardens and balcony gardens and grow mushrooms.
Parked in my rack, still unstolen. Stereo scratch, sleep on my actions. Something madness, I'm reeling up, getting gone. Magic, they can't go sleep like I don't got a night. Don't say it ain't class. Didn't see drop, now run up on them close. I ain't doing wrong, but I'm colorblind.
Oh, now what?
No Louis Armstrong, just sit and start, I ain't saying this, but I'm a hot star. I'll snap, crack, pop like Kellogg. I'll snap.
9 News is live now.
Man in the mask, man in the act.
9 News is live now. Government announces $1 billion tourism package. And I don't know what the Australian dollar is worth today to the penny, but it tends to float against the Canadian dollar, approximately the same factor as the Canadian dollar does to the US dollar, somewhere like that. So, but $1 billion is $1 billion. It doesn't matter what currency, unless it's Rwanda or Zimbabwe or something.
Man with the strap to your man's vision black with the phone dog and hot snap. Energies for YG, scroll clap, we clap. Do you come and try me?
But this is the thing. The season is. I remember hanging the skates up at this time last year as well. Only got out at a couple of, well, I'd say maybe 10 times.
You had to wait for the -30 weather to go skating. February, your parents just wanted you out of the fucking house so they could smoke and drink. You were using up all the oxygen.
Private affair, but this is where the OHL is a contact league. You know, it's important to the young people, and I get it. This is where we're on the horns of a dilemma. Do we risk anything here, or is the risk rather limited? Again, younger people have been resilient against this disease, and we've got inoculations coming now. It's not going to be that particular cohort that is going to see, you know, the abundance of vaccines in the next
keeps referring
2-3 months.
to
So
the common belief that everybody thinks kids, everybody knows they don't get sick.
You know, going
people don't
here without protection.
Because no one told us that, except you keep telling us we believe that.
If you believe that that's the right thing to do, and I do, and I'll tell you why, because many young people have been climbing the walls. And since we put them back in schools anyway, they're in congregate settings for the most part. What's the difference? That and playing hockey. And look at the NHL. I mean, they're working in, it's not a bubble per se, but it's limited engagement with the North Division and the 7 Canadian teams. They're still traveling, albeit playing, you know, a couple, 3 games in a city at a clip.
A couple, 3 games. There's a Canadianism for you.
Because one of them is that it seems like you are not expected to be feminine. You are more expected to be masculine, and you can't wear heels in other areas. I'm Sakala Barbie. I'm at Serve since 23 years now. I'm an accelerator physicist. I think it's important that more women come into science for many reasons, including the fact that in society we have a gender balance, and in this field of physics and engineering we definitely don't. So nowadays, I think between staff and fellow, in general at CERN, we have a 20% women.
I tried to open the window and the air is blowing out, not in. That's not
engineer, then the percentage drops to some 15-16%. The number tells us that there is still a way to go.
I believe it's very important for the United Nations to tackle like equal opportunities and STEAM, because it's a global perspective. For example, like making the girls stay at home to take care of the siblings or cook at very young ages, as opposed to getting an education. Like, why can't they get an education as well? Just having a chance to do something opens a lot of doors. All it takes is your creativity. Once you can mold that into
what's the connection there? Well, you're hired to crunch numbers.
That's sustainable, then the future is just going to keep growing from there. Like, even if you're not the first person to do it, you're leaving a blueprint for the next people to add on to it.
The world is evolving, and a lot of female scientists are coming up. Therefore, we'll have a balance between the genders, and it will not be ruled by males only. We'll have women power as well.
My message to young girls and even older girls all around the world is that don't let anyone tell you that math and science is not for you. You have unlimited possibilities in front of you. You can do it.
24-year-old Yakao has come to Diffa to build a new life for herself. Along with hundreds of other refugees, she fled from Boko Haram across the Nigerian border to escape danger. Many young people like Yakao have had a difficult start to life. The trouble in her homeland has seen her school studies disrupted. This meant she had few skills and found it hard to secure a job. The International Fund for Agricultural Development, or IFAD, and its partners support a training program for unemployed youth and refugees that teaches them new skills and how to work together. Yakao has learned food processing skills like making spaghetti from the local moringa plant and how to make cleaning products like washing powder.
Quand elles étaient arrivées par rapport à maintenant, il y a eu plusieurs changements. Par rapport à leur mentalité, elles arrivent maintenant à suivre avec les autochtones pour fonctionner ensemble et pour s'entraider et arrivent à oublier petit à petit les mésaventures connues d'avant. Parce que ce sont des produits à la portée de la main qui ne coûtent pas cher, que toute femme qui a pu avoir la formation peut en trouver sur le marché directement et faire la transformation.
Working with the government of Niger, IFAD's investment is part of a wider strategy to help young people become local entrepreneurs, which in turn helps the local economy.
Dans le cadre de la l'IFA, on donne aux jeunes un moyen de faire des activités économiques pour le garder dans son terroir. Nous ne voulons pas que les jeunes soient tentés, soit dans l'exode, soit dans la migration. Nous voulons les garder dans leur terroir autour des ouvrages de production.
Now, the COVID-19 pandemic has provided them with an extra source of income. 200 liters of liquid soap they had made before the outbreak have now been sold to the local health center. So far, the scheme has transformed the lives of over 80 young people, offering them both financial and emotional security.
You're going
to need some wide-mouth mason jars and some pyrex. Maybe them Chinese camping cook stoves, some shit, something like that.
With more refugees arriving all the time, the scheme hopes to give many more young people a clean start.
This is Global 3000.
Italy's popular chef Rubio, whose curiosity for food and culture has led him all over the world, is in northern Guatemala, visiting an indigenous Quechua community.
See, if it was World War II, I'd be evil. I'd leave hats laying around everywhere with like herpes on them.
Intenso. Non mi aspettavo una cosa del genere. Ho potuto
solo tell the locals, don't pick up the clothes you find. What? Just don't pick up the clothes you find. For the fucking people we're hunting.
Sapere che queste persone che ho incontrato erano i diretti discendenti dei Maya è stato molto emozionante, perché sapere che hanno mantenuto e conservato le loro tradizioni per me è un qualcosa di incredibile.
Since ancient times,
you leave a few tins of food and then like you leave one of them open and accidentally spilt on the shirt.
Agriculture as both
That's what it
physical
looks
and
like.
spiritual.
And in reality, our dogs are like,
It's
we can
also
smell
an
that
act of
tuna.
creation.
It's
Now,
right there
with
on the
climate
shirt.
change, they are struggling to grow their crops. To see how they are managing to conserve their traditional foods, Rubio joins local farmer Rosa in the making of an ancestral Mayan recipe, hakik, a spicy turkey soup. Like many others in the community, Rosa's poultry was decimated as increased temperatures brought with them new diseases. With training, she learned how to vaccinate her birds, and with her own kit, she is teaching her neighbors the skills. Through a project called Pro de Norte, supported by IFAD, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, over 40,000 indigenous farmers like Rosa are acquiring new skills to adapt to the changing climate. As the project director Gustavo Pereira explains,
el programa busca reducir esa vulnerabilidad de estas poblaciones al cambio climático dentro de las otras acciones que tiene para ir mejorando las condiciones de vida de las y los usuarios. Entonces, cuando entramos a acompañar con asistencia técnica, procesos de capacitación y el proveer de incentivos ambientales, permite que haya también un cambio en el comportamiento de las comunidades.
As advocate of these new practices, Rosa has planted 25 different native species of trees on her land. She has seen how trees reduce the effects of climate change, providing shade and nutrients for her
Climate
crops,
change reduces.
and preventing soil erosion as rains become
I thought the
heavier
climate
and more
change was
erratic.
attributed to us getting rid of
And her
trees.
concern now is to pass on her knowledge.
Nakaharakana kwanji mkiakapama chile biko yuke chiki nakaharakana kaya te wakaifu kabasa hukutan sa para.
Back in the kitchen, the preparations start.
and Rubio lends a hand. The turkey pieces are placed in boiling water, and then in goes the chili.
Ponemos el chili. Chili, esto, es picante. Ra, picante.
Chili peppers are widely used in mine cooking, but recently local plantations are drying up due to the excessive heat. Following Rosa's example, these farmers are growing taller plants in amongst their chilies to provide shade and keep in the moisture. Their
Thank you,
production is
miss.
up, and now they have enough to sell. The cooking continues with chopped tomatoes and onions, crushed garlic, and freshly
I want to see your
picked herbs.
tomatoes.
¿Por qué no está llorando? No, un paso más lejos. Ok, así. Así. Mi duele la schiena, però así. È molto importante che le donne Quechua rimangano qui nelle loro terre per coltivarle, per tramandare sia le tradizioni, ma spiegare anche alle nuove generazioni come preservare l'ambiente. Attraverso i piatti sicuramente non si può cambiare il mondo, però si possono veicolare i messaggi e poter raccontare al mondo un problema molto più grande come quello del cambiamento climatico, di tutto ciò che ne consegue, credo che sia qualcosa di importante, quindi sono orgoglioso di essere stato chiamato da IFAD per questa missione. Non sabe come dirlo in spagnolo, però in italiano non ho mai mangiato un tacchino così buono.
As the environment changes around them, these farmers are finding ways to adapt, and for the time being can maintain their ancient traditions and recipes. Ajibola Johnson is a cassava farmer in western Nigeria. He runs his own business cultivating high-yielding cassava stems, which he sells to other farmers. 3 years ago, Johnson was trained in cassava stem cultivation and multiplication. Now local farmers rely on his quality stems to plant in their fields. He also gives them advice on how to get the best results.
With the training, we have trained that we should first of all ask the person who wants to buy stem, what do you want to use it for? I have plenty stem at hand and know what I'm selling and what I'm giving them, because I will explain the way they are going to plant, how they are going to maintain it, all the food attitude. I used to pass it to farmers.
Johnson learned his trade through the Nigerian government's Value Chain Development Program. In partnership with IFAD, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, the program aims to alleviate poverty for over 60,000 farmers, with a special emphasis on youth, often the most vulnerable members of rural communities.
The problem with youth in the rural areas is that they don't have access to credits to be able to get enough capital to produce and to be in business. They lack the skill, they lack the capacity. Most of them don't have the literacy level to be able to engage. And what this project did was make a way of providing capacities for these youths, developing their entrepreneurship, providing mentorship and the coaching assistance to the youth to be able to engage in agribusiness.
Groups of young farmers are given access to loans and grants to set up their businesses, are assisted in drawing up business plans, and encouraged to open bank accounts.
Oh, yeah. Farmers no longer trade with physical cash. They have cashless credit opportunities, and the transactions are all through the financial system, which creates opportunity for the farmers to build their own capital for expansion and diversification.
With increased availability of good quality cassava, new business opportunities are opening up, like this privately owned processing plant, which transforms locally sourced cassava tubers into starch. With more dependable markets and better incomes, many young people now see a future in agriculture.
All my groups see the difference from what we have been doing before. It now motivates most of them, people that are farming beside us, so far as they are seeing what we are doing that is different from what they are doing, and the result is different from their own. Many of them are now coming in.
Over the years, Johnson has expanded his business. He now employs 12 workers and has invested in 2 lorries to deliver his wares. With the proceeds, He's built a house for his young family.
There is money in farming. If you do it, if you follow good agronomic practices, I'm very sure you are going to make it.
Drumstick tree, horseradish tree, miracle tree, mother's best friend. These are all names for moringa, a tree whose leaves are a newly popular global superfood with high nutritional value and one which is changing the livelihoods of rural farmers in Sri Lanka. Chef Rubio, an Italian celebrity chef whose passion for learning about food takes him all over the world, walks among the moringa plants with landowner and farmer Emma Malika, or as he would later call her, Chef Emma.
Moringa è una pianta eccezionale, dalle proprietà sorprendenti, oltre ad essere una pianta con tantissimi antiossidanti, tantissimo ferro, è ottima per il sistema immunitario, aiuta anche in caso di anemia.
Emma invited Chef Rubio into her kitchen to prepare a moringa maluma, a nutritious vegan dish featuring coconut, chilies, lime,
Can I feed it to pigs and goats and stuff?
and plenty of moringa. She told him about her success with moringa and its drought-resistant properties, crucial in a time of severe climate change for the country. Dramatic dry seasons mean that farmers must adapt with new crops and new knowledge.
Cooked chicken, 'cause we're not assholes.
අවුරුදු 10 15 20 වගේ තියෙන කාලවලුත් තියෙන දිගටම තියෙනවා. දැන් පැරණි අර ස්ටාර්ට් මා පිටවපු මුරුංගා වගේක් තියෙනවා. ඒ මුරුංගා කප්පාදු කරාට පස්සේ මේ දැන් අර පොඩි පැල වලට වැඩි අර පැලේ එනවා. නියගේ ඉඳන් ගොඩක් දුරට ඒ පැල වලින් ප්‍රයෝජන ගන්න පුළුවන් අපිට.
Emma learned these techniques by participating in the Smallholder Agribusiness Partnership Program, or SAP. With financing from the International Fund for Agricultural Development, or IFAD, more than 50,000 smallholder households are overcoming obstacles to the growth of healthy and sustainable crops.
Actually, we have identified 4 major obstacles that they are facing. One is access to market, other one is access to finance, and the institutional strengthening is very poor among farmers, and the access to technology to get that higher income from their crop.
Climate adaptation measures in the region include micro-irrigation technology for moringa plants, and farmers are trained in composting as a means to free the soil from chemicals. All this results in a healthy plant and a healthier income for families.
ගොවිතැන් විතර මේ ගොවිතැන් විතරනේ කරේ. ඒක මාස 6ක් ඉන්න ඕන නැත්නම් අවුරුද්දක් බලන් ඉන්න ඕනනේ. දැන් මේ වගාව කරා දැනට අවුරුද්දයි මේ වෙනකොට මුරුංගා කොළ මම 4 සැරයක් කැඩුවා. ඒ සල්ලි දවස් 20ක් වෙනකොට බැංකුවට එනවා. මිරිස්. අම්මිරිස්.
Miris. Spicy?
සැරයි.
Tara.
Yes.
After the moringa and chilies, the chefs add onion, garlic, turmeric, salt, and coconut.
Salt? Okay.
Then mix. Saute for just 2 to 3 minutes and finish with lime.
No? Too much? I want to try it. Beh, da una ricetta molto semplice con pochi ingredienti alla fine è uscito un piatto interessantissimo che accompagnato del riso può essere un pasto completo. So the moringa maluma is a daily dish?
හැමදාම වගේ හදනවා. සතියකට දවස් 2ක් 3ක් වගේ හදනවා මම. පොඩි අයට හොඳයිනේ.
Really good. Really good.
Yes.
Cool. The teacher would demand a note. Is that still okay to do, or is that a human rights complaint or some kind of a breach of your constitutional freedoms? I'm not sure, but this is where it's going to get down to this hazy gray area, and some people are damn well going to lie about having a pre-existing condition just so they can jump the queue.
I doubt it.
It's going to happen. To what extent? I don't know. I mean, look, it even became a source of amusement earlier today when Rick Hillier, who is the province's point man on all of this, honest to God, when they're opening up this booking site on Monday,
and they're hoping everybody does it according to Hoyle. That is 80 plus, or those who are in trust of 80 plus. He says, if you're in the media, please stay off these sites. I mean, what does that say? The media is not trustworthy. In fact, they'd abuse the system as well, or they want to check in and deprive somebody else of their legitimate claim to getting a vaccine because they satisfy that criteria. Media people, stay off these sites. Wow, why didn't you just call them out for being a bunch of weasels? And so it's one of those deals where I'm telling you, people are going to play or game the system, and that's what they're bracing for. They understand there will be some of that, but what constitutes somebody with previous conditions, and so whether or not they would actually be pre-existing conditions and would be accommodated with the vaccine, we'll have to wait and see. We'll put it to our first panel of two this afternoon. Coming up shortly, Swifty and Ponce, Catherine Swift and Arthur Potts. They're up next on the Opie Show. Global News Radio, 640 Toronto.
It was a rainy day when Pizzaville realised we all have things we should cut back on. For me, our brother Raoul, that's ordering inflatable toys. For others, it's carbs. So Pizzaville made the extra thin crust pizza. You get the same authentic Italian taste as our regular pizza, but with 2/3 less carbs. Because the last thing Raoul wants is an inflatable waist.
Pizzaville Stone-Baked Pizza. Fiercely Canadian. Authentically Italian.
This spot is dedicated to Jamie and Nora, a couple whose love for golden doodles and golf and obscure Scandinavian folk metal and late 90s sitcoms makes them a totally one-of-a-kind match. And at Spence Diamonds, we celebrate love in all its forms, with thousands of excellent cut Canadian-made designs. Find an engagement ring as unique as your love. Spence Diamonds, open now in Vaughan, Scarborough, and Mississauga.
We are Toronto's news talk leader.
The recent hope with the vaccine that the wedding season could be saved this year.
The lack of transparency from the government is really not allowing us to plan. It's really caused a lot of panic from our clients that if we can salvage any sort of cover, that's an ideal situation.
Jess MacArthur.
Yes, nigga. Bird ticket. Free Slim. We all here. Don't get close, nigga.
We the Canadians got the shooters behind me. MOGs the white, the 70s and 90s. So don't sleep, no, nigga. We are what? No matter who it is, bound to get the job done. We the Canadians got the shooters behind me. MOGs the white, the 70s and 90s. So don't sleep, nigga. We are what? No matter who it is, bound to get the job done. On the same shit, shooting with the same click. Never gonna change, no nigga. Only change trolls and the cool, but only if it's fucking up. Play some aim and niggas above the button. Working hard in the paint, no patch of fucking up. Repatch and flip that to get our shit up. Only other hot shit is a stick up. Never a 9 to 5, cause I ain't got no day job. From the slums, little homie, when we play hard. If you don't wanna see the 30-30 when it sprays off. 20 people walk around 3/8 for the beat. 40 to lick them down, the max for the beat. Niggas saying what they wanna make tracks with us. Before that, didn't even crack to us. Going hard in the booth, it's a takeover. And the brown into your face, that's a makeover. 2-5 or a Q, the rest profit. Hustlers, my say, won't sleep till I knock it. And don't push me, cause I ain't in the top. 12-year-old too, so I ain't scared if you got it. Y'all got it, is it me you comparing to? I ain't finished my fair share yet, but I aired them just started. And I ain't talking about no jump shot, brush them off, go top. You know the cold hard tracks, didn't think I was capable. 4-5 pipe on my trace of shot. Didn't think I was capable. 4-5 pipe on my it isn't traceable. You niggas gon' ride something like a flat tire. Aim the fire at your back, it will be backfire. Cause my gas the same size as a blow dryer. Never true in your raps, you some damn liars. Break jobs, make them spit through the wire. And you don't supply shit, you a buyer. I'm the king of gang rap, call me sire. That's me, but private you rate and admire. Your rubber grip tight, no pliers. I gotta take you out, call it quits or retire. The fourth room down, fifth flip them up. bells don't leave shells, so I'm switching up. Something like a bus driver still picking up. Got your hands in your pocket, nigga, stick 'em out. All my projects, money's no objects. So we finger fuck max and we contact. Slide in, slide out, fuck when we ride out. Down go, I buck rounds at you dumb clowns. You're standing up till I tell them sit down. Stomach on the ground, hands behind your back and you're going over. When I'm digging in your pants, see me that in your grip. All for the rest. He said, get the weed, leave the cash. What? I'ma do him dirty, Mad Max. Cool, niggas get back. Bitches get snapped and get smacked. Face down when I'm breaking her back. Yo, we got metal like a rap, made a name in rap. I ain't setting it for trap, yes. Yo, I'ma need me a bag of that C-O-L-T. Carved in my rack, steel unstolen. Stereo scratch, sleep on my actions. Suck the madness, I'm reeling up, get it gone. Mad shit, they gone, don't sleep like I don't got a night. Yo, cellular ain't class. Didn't see prom, nah, run up on them close. I ain't doing wrong, but I'm clear blood strong till it drips on my palm. Till it tiny changes and no to me arms are just sicker than sharks. I ain't famous, but I'm a hood star. I'll snap, crack, pop like camera. I'll snap, run up, just hide when I let off. Run man in the mask, man in the act, man with the strap to your man's vision black. With the phone dog and hot snap, OGs for YGs, scroll clap, we clap. Do you come and try me? 70s and 90s, been moving grimy. Blood rush till they talk up to the ivy. 4 or 5 will stretch you, anything gets drunk until they end up on a stretcher. Better get a coffin. Yo, Critians, so we ain't in a no long talking. Money overflow, back on my bullshit. These punks that I grew with, acting like they're too sick, too slow. Cash making me ever switch sides. Or babble to the J, someone's get my guns fried, huh? My mind's fried. See, I don't give a fuck. Skank it with a YG, guarantee we hit them up. Take a nigga slut, man, you know me. Never look back since my first stack in 03. Pack nigga, plus I get busy with these OGs screaming Southside, outside all the police. Fucked up when I nipped 1.5 a B. Snakes and them cop chops, now you owe me 10 G's. Till I go to sleep, till you for the ABK, the marksman, super fun. What the fuck's a murder one? Bad news if you run into the DBS. All I do is give one nod, then he breathes the tech. Then he breathes the tech. All I do is give one nod, then he breathes the tech. We the Canadians got the shooters behind me. I OGs the YY, the 70s and 990s. So don't sleep, no nigga, we are what? Won't matter who it is, bound to get the job done. We the Canadians got the shooters behind me. I OGs the YY, the 70s and 990s. So don't sleep, nigga, we are what? Won't matter who it is, bound to get the job done.
This week, Mi'kmaq Matters receives federal funding to intervene in the environmental assessment of the Valentine Lake megamine. And after 21
That's why you
years
don't
of
see
waiting
natives wearing much
Canada
gold and
to implement
diamonds.
a commercial decision,
So we can't
Mi'kmaq
buy it.
fishers in
It's
Nova
to us,
Scotia
it's
take
not.
to the water in their
It doesn't
very
represent
own
the same way to
moderate
us as it does to other
livelihood.
people.
I'm Glenn Wheeler, and this is Mi'kmaq. Mi'kmaq fishers are falsely blamed for threatening fisheries conservation. But who wastes the most lobster? Who was convicted of gross violations of fisheries regulations? Step up, Clearwater Seafoods. I'm Glenn Wheeler, and this is Mi'kmaq Matters, a podcast about Mi'kmaq people.
I'm laughing for a reason. Yes, we own that shit now.
Certain man gotta fix up quick. The general. Are you dumb? Batter, cool, when, where, never. I let my dreads hang, put 12K from my teeth back. If you're shorty fiending, then I might just have a fix. I'm the shopper's jug mark, booming in the 6. How you get it out the mud? Community housing. North side of the Rex, places you weren't allowed in. Bitches used to laugh at the kid, not wanna see me. Told her put these on so you can see me coming in 3D. Forrest Gump into the money, you looking like Bueller. You think it's not for everybody, I had to maneuver. We were shooting for the stars, I was
was that way they were shooting. I go Bob the Builder for the fix up if you acting funny. Yeah.
Are you dumb?
Certain mans get crushed on road and keep it hush. A nigga wrote a statement on me, who can I trust? My mom's denying a women's shelter, it was just us. A man trying to come for the kid, I told him head back before they start aiming at your head back. You get that? The backhand the back of your head, they'll tell you head back. They wanna let they sick in the head, but then we dead there. Trying to put a foreign on road and then we head that. Going down like Titanic is high, find where her head at. Keep a young mind with me, that will make you say ooh. Or one to the west, bumping that day east. In my city, little nigga, I'm a don like you. She wanna be my playboy bunny, I guess I'm you. I came from the Rex where they good with the text. SMS got a text, now your wife give a text. Are you dumb? It's don't get close, so we the gang. It's don't get close, you will get smoked, you cannot hang. I'll shoot his neck, I'll shoot his chest, I'll shoot his fangs. It's don't get close, so we the gang. Rolled up, be the hardest stove, y'all butter soft. Block party turning up, till the dogs looking up. All of them be talk a lot, see them and they nodding back. Matching if I had a map, know what I would do to off on the clock. I'll be bringing back the holocaust. Hit them up, long distance, no calling. When I pop it up, treat me like a movie star. Now she wanna love me cause I'm back from the middle part. Cocaine white, like I'm walking around with cotton balls. Treat it like an acrobat, flip it and I'm stretching down. Niggas talking like they G, all they do is rap beat. Talking all that shit up, it on Smack DVD. Certain mans get crushed on road and keep it hush. Certain mans get crushed on road and keep it hush. No matter who, when, where, never. Are you done?
DJ Random Trouble.
Yeah. Certain man gotta fix up quick. General. Are you dumb? Bad or who, when, where, never. Fix up. I let my dreads hang, put 12K from my defense. If you're shorty fiending, then I might just have to fix. I'm the shopper's jug mart booming in the six. How you get it out the mud? Community housing. North side of the Rex, places you weren't allowed in. Bitches used to laugh at the kid, and I wanna see me. Told her put these on so you can see me coming in 3D. Forrest Gump into the money, you looking like Bueller. You think it's not for everybody, I had to maneuver. We were shooting for the stars, I was that way they were shooting. I go Bob the Builder for the fix up if you acting funny. Yeah.
Are you dumb?
Certain mans get crushed on road and keep it hush. A nigga wrote a statement on me, who can I trust? My mom's denying a women's shelter, it was just us. A man trying to come for the kid, I told him head back before they start aiming at your head back. You get that? The backhand the back of your head, they'll tell you head back. They wanna let they sick in the head, but then we dead there. Trying to put a foreign on road and then we head that. Going down like Titanic is high, find where her head at. Keep a young mind with me, that will make you say ooh. Or one to the west, bumping that day east. In my city, little nigga, I'm a don like you. She wanna be my playboy bunny, I guess I'm you. I came from the Rex where they good with the text. SMS got a text, now your wife give a text. Are you dumb? It's don't get close, so we the gang. It's don't get close, you will get smoked, you cannot hang. I'll shoot his neck, I'll shoot his chest, I'll shoot his fangs. It's don't get close, so we the gang. Rolled up, be the hardest stove, y'all butter soft. Block party turning up, till the dogs looking up. All of them be talk a lot, see them and they nodding back. Matching if I had a map, know what I would do to off on the clock. I'll be bringing back the holocaust. Hit them up, long distance, no calling. When I pop it up, treat me like a movie star. Now she wanna love me cause I'm back from the middle part. Cocaine white, like I'm walking around with cotton balls. Treat it like an acrobat, flip it and I'm stretching down. Niggas talking like they G, all they do is rap beat. Talking all that shit up, it on Smack DVD. Certain mans get crushed on road and keep it hush. Certain mans get crushed on road and keep it hush. No matter who, when, where, never. Are you done?
There's a pizza flyer. Apparently, it's stuck aside for a reason. It says superfood pizza crust. I can read it from here. What magical new element is in here? I'm gonna eat this and cure all my diseases. Like, what the fuck? Superfood. What the fuck's a superfood? Who authorized to put that on the flyer? Superfood. Yeah, we'll go with that. It's not even in conjunction with something called Super Bowls, super everything. Superfood pizza rolls. Oh, this is the real shit. That's what I gotta get.
If you rep the team, I know you'll set me high. Big shots, nigga, rep your block. Best be holding your tongue. The bloody north where the soldiers is from. If you rep the team, I know you'll set me high. Big shots, nigga, rep your block. If you ain't from around here, best be holding your tongue. The bloody north where the soldiers is from.
3, 5, 7s and Mac 11s. Keep stepping, cock your weapon and stop yelling if you rep 47s. I got niggas in the front ready and willing to split you down the middle just like a blunt, so walk but not with me. The Lord will not forgive me for shaking up your kidney. Cause you faking and Disney, my niggas lippy and shifty, pissy, Billy, Iggy, Shiggy. We don't give a wiggy, what really, Millie's trying to kill the city like crack in the 80s. I'm ready to burn in Hades, my dog's infected with rabies. Not even my father can fade me, you niggas is crazy. Fuck a fight and learn what these talents do. You can be as cuckoo as you are unbalanced too. Fixing the garden, I'm coming to rattle you. Massacre splatter you, run you off of your avenue while I laugh at you. The chronic sadistic demented ruptures. My figment of the appearance igneous. Run you up the district.
If you rep the team, I know you'll set me high. Big shots, nigga, rep your block. You ain't from around here, best be holding your tongue. The bloody north where the soldiers is from. If you rep the team, I know you'll set me high. Big shots, nigga, rep your block. You ain't from around here, best be holding your tongue. The bloody north where the soldiers is from. Star City where we blast shots. Then in the last block, man mentality, cause all of us niggas ass rocks. I'm a big game harvesting, feeling cash crops. Money growing trees, just turn the coke, leaf to crack rock. Find a block, dedicated, keep it padlocked. Innocent animals, watching dog, jealous trash talk. We pack blocks, just smoke weed, we here like Sasquatch. Fuck my niggas, dog, your son and think you out of the sandbox. Better yet, I crash your plane, spit on the black box. For he's highly trained on cocaine, higher than that plug, that hard. You with more clips is, for instance, the same equivalent as a bad nail in the insects. Ridiculous. Most cats is sweet like licorice. I eat they cool fast, smoke niggas similar to cigarettes. You dig me yet? For the cash, you burn the ass. I belong to burn the fast. Believe you colder than the NUJ. You rep the team, I know you'll set me high. Big shots, nigga, rep your block. You holding your tongue, the bloody north, your soldiers.
The idea that
the
locals. Now, how do you feel about it? Are they necessary to expedite needed development, or is it maybe a sop to developer friends, as the accusation goes, and they're just looking after people who have contributed to the party? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's an issue that has been around forever. The Liberals were criticized for this as well, by the way, not the specific instrument of a ministerial zoning order per se, but various things they did to develop parts of the province. And, you know, if we have hugely slow development, which we have had in the past, and if we have patchwork quilt rules where different rules apply in one municipality than another because you got all these different levels and you've got these conservation authorities that also weigh in, you know, we have this Byzantine system. I would like to see some streamlining, some sensible rules here that apply universally across the province and not this patchwork quilt. But I mean, the bottom line here is we have the federal government bringing in more immigrants this year than in, well, I think the last numbers I
the Army ever says we need
something
this
like
land,
1919 or something. Record immigration, and people don't come to Canada and go to northern Saskatchewan as a rule. They go to the big cities and surrounding areas. We got housing shortage problems. There's only so many condos we can build. So it's all great to say, let's keep all these green spaces pristine. And I think a lot lot of people, I certainly do think it's, very, very valuable to have sensible policy to deal with that kind of thing. But we can't fucking blow at the same time here. We want housing. We want to accommodate more people into Canada, and they're going to come to Toronto, and so on and so forth. And yet,
well, let me just stop you there. All right, but because I wanted to get Arthur in on this, the argument is from developers, I hear it all the time, there's just too much red tape and it takes a long, long time. Doug Ford was alluding to that, saying, 4 years, before a project, you got to meet environmental tests and standards. A project from the time of first gaining approval, I guess, or at least seeking it until it actually sees shovels in the grounds can be years and years. And this is fast tracking it, for better, for worse.
Definitely for worse. I mean, just follow the money. That's the message in all this. Because where these projects are going, it's been very clearly identified These are going to people who put a lot of money into the Liberal Party, the Conservative Party.
Oh, you're right. There's time there, Arthur.
Proud. Exactly.
Developers have funded Liberals as well. Well, they have funded whoever's in power. That is the nature of the beast.
I'm not going to be able to pay it. Like,
And
not because I don't have money. Like, I won't be able
no
to pay it.
coincidence the fact that we've just changed the fundraising rules again. We saw in the last election that developers, owners who couldn't donate corporately were doing it personally, and their wife was doing it, and their 5 kids were doing the maximums. And now we've just doubled, or actually quadrupled the maximums from back then. So this is a way of payback, which is so bad compared to what we were doing, what people call cash for access, by having ministers have fundraisers of people who were experts in their field to come together so they could talk about developers, and some of them were developers, no question about it. So what happened in the foundry down in Eastern Avenue is unbelievable because it's so egregious. The fact is there is vacant land across the street that could have been used, but that developer wasn't in the favored pockets of this government. And then you see what's happening in Pickering on environmentally sensitive wetland. And the developer's response, who gave a lot of money to the party, is, we'll just put another wetland over there for you. This is wrong. You need these controls in place. Same reason you need environmental controls on smokestacks and on dumping into lakes and rivers. And so what the government's doing here, and look what the Star is a poll over 85% of Ontarians to say this is wrong. So I think this is a bit of this will be his Waterloo. It'll come back to haunt them by 2022.
Really? We've had problems with rules on this issue for decades in Ontario, and I don't think any government's got it right. And I would like to see a comprehensive review of this instead of the kind of piecemeal approach that so many governments, Liberals and Conservatives alike, have taken.
Hey, Potsy, I mean, wasn't it going to go in the beginning? We also saw land swaps happening, people giving up chunks of the greenbelt so they could have even more advantageous pieces of land, parcels of land out in the eastern part of the city and maybe in Bowmanville, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but you were still building much bigger green sheds of land. I mean, the whole Rouge Valley was being developed in that way. And we were parceling things together so you could take an outlier piece because you could then get a critically important wetland, river-based piece into the overall mix. And, this government was criticized early on for wanting to go after the Greenbelt, and they had to backtrack from it. And now you see this highway going over the top of the city. And they're using MZOs in order to get through municipal council. And every major municipality, Peel, York, is saying, we don't need that highway. There's no study that says we need that highway, but they're going to pound it through because their developer friends want to make money off of it.
I bet that highway's not going to go through, by the way.
Because of the anger that's generated?
Absolutely. I think a lot of different reasons. I think part of it will be COVID, because our whole traffic pattern has changed, just as an example. So I think I would bet it won't go through.
What do you mean? We heard traffic reports of 0 cars on any road in the fucking GTA.
But they went and did the zoning orders anyway in order to advance this thing through. Sure, there's going to be more studies.
The Liberals toyed with that highway off and on for years as well, as I'm sure you know. But again, the fundamental question remains.
They can do it and make that defense.
Do we stop development? I mean, again, I think the bigger issue here needs some kind of resolution. And we're not there.
We have more trains in Toronto building high rises than they do in the rest of North America. Like this development, this is a complete false.
You think I'm making this up?
Toronto can't get development through. There are more trains, there's more housing, and you don't have to push through zoning orders.
We're on the list of your developer.
Not everybody wants to live in a postage stamp. I'm sorry. You need a variety of different kinds of housing.
Let me just cap with this highway thing because I'm tight on time here, and just to finalize the discussion. So this is the 413 that's been slated to go through Vaughan, Caledon, Brampton, and I guess hook up somewhere with a 403. Are you saying this is dead on arrival, Arthur, then, or because of local council pushback? In fact, last week, I guess it was Vaughan City Council voted 5-4 against it. I guess the province thought maybe they had more support than that. Is that what's going to forestall this, or what do you think is going to derail this whole plan?
Ultimately, I think it will be derailed because it doesn't have the transportation mandate. There's no real benefit by putting this thing through on the traffic studies that I've seen. and it's going through sensitive lands, through the green belt, which needs to be protected, and so it will falter on the kinds of controls that ministerial zoning orders try to get around.
All right. That's going to do it. You know, I didn't even bring up Meghan and Harry today, Swifty, and I had something.
Darn.
You just see a bunch of World War II
I was going to say about the fun that you're going to hit out of the park, but we'll have to leave it for the next time. I appreciate your participation as always. To you both, Catherine Swift, Arthur Potts. We shall talk again next Wednesday. Stay well in the interim. And appreciate you being on. Thank you for it.
John.
We'll get to the news here shortly on the other side. Ron James, stand-up comedian, actor, is going to weigh in with the show that he's got upcoming. He's got a live stream later on in the month. We'll get to that. We'll get to the topics worthy of discussion. Right now, one of those topics worthy of discussion is the opening, albeit with restrictions, of non-essential stores. And one of those is at Tom's Place in 190 Baldwin Street in Kensington Market. And you feeling the love, Tom?
Not only did I
is sparse. That could be an attempt to control influences from abroad. But is that control a good thing in the long run? Smartphones are everywhere. What previously was far away is now at locals' fingertips. And the outside world can be tempting with all it has to offer. Whether young people are happy and whether they will stay will decide the country's future. Buddhism is still powerful. Buddhists believe in the close relationship we have with the universe and astrology.
It's like math. We calculate, subtract, multiply. The stars tell us if it will be a good day, whether we should do things or leave well enough alone. That's how we determine happiness. On a scale of 1 to 10, I rate myself an 8. And that's only because there are some things that we all have to endure, like illness and death.
So happiness does have its limits. There's also no guidebook to follow on becoming happy. Not even here in the land of happiness, in Bhutan.
Helping others is another way to boost your happiness levels. In this week's
likes of Azza, Ayat, and Sima see the Syria they dream of.
Lina Simjad reflecting on 10 years after the start of the Arab Spring in.
Let's head out to the roads and check on the drive with chopper traffic. Here's Ari Rabinovich.
And on the 401, we are dealing with the closure of the off-ramps to Yonge Street, all because of this in-town collision. It's actually southbound Yonge Street that's closed south of Shepherd because of this crash involving a vehicle that hit a gas line. And so now there's a gas leak and a crash to deal with. Lots of emergency crews are here. Again, southbound lanes are closed. Northbound lanes are all open on Yonge Street just before Shepherd. But the 401, again, westbound 401, no access to Yonge Street. Those off-ramps are completely closed. And the eastbound 401 that ran to northbound Yonge is closed. You'll be forced to go southbound if you plan on exiting from the east 401 at Yonge Street. Also on the southbound 410 at Courtney Park, problems have been cleared away. And we're looking at a stall on the northbound 427 at Rathburn, and the collectors blocking the left lane. Is buying a home in Toronto still possible? A CIBC mortgage advisor will show you how to make your ambition real. Plus, get up to $3,000 cash back. Conditions apply. I'm Ari Urbanovich, Global News Radio 640 Toronto Chopper Traffic.
We believe Greater Toronto. This is CFMJ Global News Radio 640 Toronto, a Chorus Entertainment Company. You're listening to Global